Hello, brave awakened ones. Let me fix this camera. It's just not looking good. Okay, hi. This is Veronica of Higher Realm Holistics. This is take 3. I'm actually on a different phone doing this video because my lights went out and then the phone died for some strange reason. Couldn't get it back on. Whatever. A lot of energies I've been dealing with. But this is a very special video about connecting with your soul family and calling in the forces of your soul family when there's a crisis with someone. Now, the reason why I'm making this story, this video, is because this recently happened to me. It happened yesterday, where I had to call in the reinforcements and we were able to collapse a timeline. Okay, you could actually do that. You could avoid a crisis by coming together and collapsing a timeline. And this is very emotional for me, so I hope I don't start crying when I start telling the story. So I had to do it with my granddaughter. Her little ethereal self came to me, and she's come to me several times throughout her little lifetime. She recently turned 2. Anytime she's sick or needs my help or something about to happen, she comes to me and says, "Hey, Mimi," she calls me Mimi, "such and such is about to happen, help me or heal me." And I've done Reiki on her ethereal body. This happened yesterday. And I was my usual between, 1:30 and 4 o'clock wide awake. It was around 1:30, 2 o'clock. And I heard Mimi, Mimi. And then I turned around and she was standing there next to me. She was standing right next to the bed, but she was all bruised up. And she didn't look like her normal self. She looked like a child with mental retardation. And I was like, "What happened to you?" She had a huge bruise on her head, bruises on her face, on her body and everything. And she said to me, "They weren't watching me, so I got hurt." And I said, "What do you mean? Why do you look like that?" And she said to me, "Was I ever normal?" I said, "Yeah, you were normal. You were fine. You must have gotten hurt." And she touched her head like this. And the next thing I know, I was in that timeline and I saw what was going on. I saw her at this person's house. I saw this bookcase or something heavy falling on top of her and her having a concussion. And in the hospital, and when she came out of the concussion, she was so brain damaged, she was mentally retarded. She became mentally retarded. And when I came out of there, I was standing there, and then I was back in my room again watching her as the apparition in front of me. And she said, "Can you help me? I want to be normal. Can you help me be normal?" And I said, "Yes, I'll help you be normal." And she said, "Thank you, Mimi." And then the apparition went away. So I gave it till 5:30 in the morning before I called in the reinforcements. I called in the witches of Eastwick, as my daughter likes to call me, my 2 sisters and our best friend. Called them up. I said, "Listen, guys, please, we got to call in St. Jude. St. Jude is our quote-unquote patron saint from my bloodline. Our grandmother told us since we were little kids, because we see pictures of St. Jude everywhere. We're like, is that Jesus? Like, no, that is St. Jude. He is with our family, and he's here to help guide and help and protect us. So whenever we have problems, you call on St. Jude." And we always did that. And even when I didn't tell my children about it, they would have apparitions and see St. Jude and see the green color. And he's like, "Oh, he has a medallion, but it looks like Jesus. Who is that?" I said, "No, that's not Jesus. That is St. Jude. I call him our patron saint. That's our guide. He's here to help us. That's our guy. You can call on him." So we're like, buy the candles, whatever, do what you got to do. I immediately started praying to St. Jude to come in and intervene. And then my younger sister, who's in New York, she texted me and she said, "We should call in on," I'll call him R, my daughter's fiance, "because he's going to help." I was told to call on him. So I was like, okay, let's pray on his soul, ask him to intervene, because he is an archangel. He is an archangel soul. He has Archangel Michael is part of his oversoul. And we had called him in together for my daughter, and that's why we made her go live in Atlanta, because we knew he was there, and that's why she was going to meet him. And he's there to watch after my daughter and watch after my granddaughter, protect them, and be her dad and everything like that. He's not her original father. So, so we called on his soul and we're like, okay, he's got this. He's going to take care of this. St. Jude got this. We're going to take care of it. So later on yesterday, around 5:30 in the evening, I called up my daughter. I said, is the baby okay? It's like, why? What's going on? I said, she came to me early this morning and she was all busted up and everything and asked me to help her. So we prayed. I want to know if she's okay. She's like, yeah. I said, did anything happen? She goes, yeah. When I brought her to the babysitter this morning on my way to work, the babysitter wasn't there. Only her 10-year-old son was there who answered the door. And then when I called the babysitter, she said, oh, just leave the baby with my son. He's good with kids. I'll be home in a couple of hours. I was like, what? I said, what did you do? She goes, well, I called R, the fiance, and he said, no way, don't leave the baby there. I'll come back home and I'll stay with the baby. And there's no way she's going back to her anymore. I don't trust her. Something does not feel right. And another time when I went there, she said she took the baby out and the seatbelt was not buckled in at all. Like she just threw, not the seatbelt, the baby car seat wasn't even buckled in. She just literally just plopped the baby car seat in there and was driving around with my granddaughter with an unbuckled baby car seat. And then another time he said, I could have sworn when I saw her pull up, the baby didn't even have a car seat. She wasn't in the car seat. When he went to pick her up once from the babysitter, he goes, no more. I'm going to find the babysitter. I'll find an appropriate person. She's not going back there because something tells me she'll get hurt if she goes back there. That was the timeline we collapsed. We all got together, soul-wise, and collapsed that timeline. I was the trigger because I'm the one, you know, who vibrates higher. So that's why she comes to me. And I was able to call in the reinforcements. And together, we're able to collapse that timeline. So now my granddaughter is going to be fine. She's not going to have that experience where she's going to get hurt at that person's house and end up with brain damage. So that is how you can collapse a timeline. Form that connection. You already know, your light workers, you already know who you have special connections with. Whether they're related to you or not, you already know who you have special connections with. If there's something going down in your family or something going down with people around you, you call in the reinforcements and be like, you know what? Let's collapse this timeline. Let's pray together, meditate together, call in reinforcements, whatever angels and guides are working with us, and collapse that timeline so it won't happen. Now, alone, I had no idea my granddaughter would get hurt. But because she's an angel soul, and we've had that connection before she was even born, I knew who she was. I even knew what she looked like. Before she was even born, she came to me and said, hey, I'm going to come to your daughter. And in order to help her out, to straighten her life out, I'm going to come through her. And that's going to get her life straightened out, which it did. So I already had that. She's from my soul family. My granddaughter is, not my daughter. My daughter's an earth soul who was trapped in a karmic cycle on earth, who hitched a ride, who hitched her wagon to me to be pulled out of it. But my granddaughter, she is a higher being. She's, you know, an angel soul. She was my daughter's guardian angel who incarnated in order to do that. So that is how you can collapse a timeline. So, you know, to avoid a tragedy, to heal somebody if it's not meant to be. Not every tragedy is meant to be. That tragedy of my granddaughter getting hurt in that house because a 10-year-old was watching her was not meant to be. And even if it didn't happen that day, yesterday, if she went back again, it could have happened. It was supposed to happen. That timeline existed, but we shut it down. We shut it down right quick. But you got to be on top of it. You got to be on top of it. You got to stay in tuned. And as light workers, you're there, you're open, trust your instincts. When you feel something suspicious like that, call on your people. Or even do it yourself. You don't got people call on, do it yourself. But try to get at least one other person with you to come into agreement, because that energy is multiplied. And you don't, like, I wasn't going to pick up the phone and call my daughter's fiance and be like, okay, hey, listen, guess what? You know, you're Archangel Michael oversoul and I need you to do this. No, I spoke directly to his soul. I spoke directly to his higher self. That is what I addressed, his higher self. And that's the part of my granddaughter that came to me, was her higher self. Her angel soul came to me. So that's how you do it. Okay, so I hope this is helpful, because I have done it many a time since I was a child. We would do stuff like this. This is just such a clear example that I felt I could share and everything. And I'm glad I didn't cry this time, because every time I think about it, because I can't get that image out of, not image, herself. I couldn't get my granddaughter's bashed up face and head out of my head. But now that I know she's okay, I could better handle that, and that timeline is squashed. So if you want to squash something, you want to squash a timeline, that is how you do it. Okay. So want to let you guys know I'm doing readings. I do private sessions in office and online via Zoom or via telephone. And I also offer webinars. The webinars have been pretty great. I'm working with sacred geometry right now to help imprint. That's what my oversoul told me, to start working with sacred geometry with everyone, to imprint it so it could trigger you, so you can have an ascension jump. Okay, so namaste. Thank you very much. Love to all. Lady V out. Victory to the light.